Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Cage. I'm your host, Jim Graham, and joining me today on the line, we have a special guest. He will be fighting for the Glory middleweight title against Simon Marcus at Glory 30, Friday, May 13th in California. He is Dustin Jacoby. And Dustin, thanks for coming on Beyond the Cage.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
First thing I want to get to here, Dustin, is your last two fights, which were part of the Glory 27 middleweight tournament there in February in Chicago. And looking at your first fight there in the tournament as you took on Roberson, and being no stranger to these tournaments, was your strategy to try to end this one quickly, because you really did a good job of throwing some really nice power punches his way?
Yeah, man, first off, hats off to Roberson. He's a good young fighter, very green, hasn't been in the sport for very long, and gave me a very difficult fight. He was a lot better than I'm not going to say I gave him credit for, because I knew he was going to be a tough opponent from the get-go. But I also knew he was green. I knew that I was the veteran going into the fight, and I wanted to make him feel, my pain that I felt throughout my career with Glory and, facing the top guys. And I felt like on that night, and right now I am one of those top guys, and he just had to face it. And, hats off to him for putting up a good fight.
Now, Dustin, since your fight was the second semifinal fight of the Glory 27 middleweight tournament, were you able to see any of the first fight there between Thomas and Wayne Barrett? And if so, what did you think about their performance between those two guys?
To be honest with you, I really didn't get to see their fight at all from the get-go. I was in the back, concentrating on what I had going on, and I didn't get to watch their fight, but I knew that both guys were very game, and I knew I was going to be facing one of them, and whoever came out on top, I was going to be taken out. So I was focused on myself and not worrying too much about what the other opponents were doing.
Heading into the middleweight tournament final against Wayne Barrett, the second time you had faced Wayne Barrett, once again your straight rights were on point, really affecting Barrett. And then there towards the end, you hit him with another one of those straight rights. A delayed reaction for him. He then went down, was grabbing his shoulder, and then the fight ended with the knockdown rule and everything. Did that kind of surprise you, that whole ending with the reaction and the grabbing of the shoulder, Dustin?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened with Wayne. I think that he had just felt my power in the first fight when we fought in October, and I think he felt it again. And for whatever reason, whether it's because I punched him or he hurt his shoulder, I don't know. But, I was awarded the victor, and, I was happy to be come out on top.
Now, of course, with you winning the tournament there at Glory 27, you were guaranteed a title shot in the middleweight division at some point. But with kind of Joe Schilling lurking around there as well, and who knows what the situation was going to be with Artem Levin, did it kind of surprise you to get this title opportunity against Marcus sooner rather than later, Dustin?
They told me going into that tournament that the winner got a title shot, and that's what I was focused on. And I just knew if I had won that tournament, then I was getting a title shot. That's what they told me, and that's what happened. I won the tournament, and now I'm fighting Simon Marcus.
Now, of course, as some fans know, you've also done some MMA for the UFC and Bellator. And speaking of Bellator, they're starting up their own kickboxing organization with their inaugural event coming up in April. And was there any chance that you were entertaining maybe doing some kickboxing for Bellator there, Dustin?
They had came at me with an offer, and it's awfully intriguing. But at the end of the day, I'm signed with Glory. I want to fight for Glory, and I've been with Glory since the very beginning, and I want to be with them till the very end, when they blow up. And you got guys like Simon and I putting on exciting fights on ESPN, and I want to be with them when, it goes viral and everybody becomes a Glory fan. I don't want to jump ship and go to a different organization, and there's not another organization I'd rather fight for.
Looking back at the main event of Glory 27, Dustin, of course, it was for the middleweight title between Artem Levin and Simon Marcus. And considering your background in combat sports between mixed martial arts and kickboxing, and the way that Artem Levin got fed up with the ref and just flat out refused to continue to fight there in the third round, allowing Simon Marcus to become the middleweight champion. Have you ever seen anything like that before in your experience, seeing a guy just simply refusing to fight like Levin did?
No, that was crazy, man. I had just got done fighting in the finals, and we were sitting in the back watching the fight, because I was told the winner got a title shot, so I was watching that fight closely, and the ending of that fight was bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. I think there was, the refing. I think the ref got a little too involved, and I think that Artem lost his head, and he pretty much, just kind of called it.
Of course, no official statement has been made regarding the status of the former champion in Artem Levin, but do you feel his actions may actually cost him his job with Glory there, Dustin?
Yeah, I really can't answer that, man. I mean, I'm not Glory. I'm not in a place to answer that question, but it certainly doesn't look good. I don't think that a fighter should ever walk out of the ring and just call it quits in the middle of a fight. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's certainly not good.
Of course, coming up in May, you will be fighting Simon Marcus for the Glory Middleweight Championship, a guy that has most of his background in Thai kickboxing before moving over to Glory not too long ago to do more traditional kickboxing. And just overall, what are your thoughts on the current champion, Simon Marcus there, Dustin?
I think Simon Marcus is a very good fighter. I think he's strong, durable, comes forward, and throws a lot of power. He's obviously one of the best fighters in the world, and I'm looking forward to facing him on May 13th.
Now, with that background that Simon has in more traditional Muay Thai kickboxing, are you worried at all if the fight goes to the clinch against him?
That does not concern me one bit. I know it's a possibility. I know that he's a Thai fighter and likes fighting in the clinch, but I feel like I do a good job of using my range, and I'm going to be keeping him on the end of my punches and kicks, and I think I'll be coming out on top.
Looking at your height there at 6'3" and your overall size, you're one of the bigger middleweights that Glory has on the roster, and Simon Marcus just at 6 foot. Do you feel with your size and strength that's going to give you a huge advantage against Simon Marcus, someone that is going to be hard for him to replicate you in training for this fight?
Absolutely, man. I'm one of the biggest middleweights in the world, and I'm one of the longest middleweights in the world, and I think that I use my range very well, and I think it's going to be difficult for Simon to get on the inside and try to use his clinch game. I think if I do a good job of keeping him at the end of my punches and kicks, that I'll come out on top.
Of course, as I mentioned earlier, you're no stranger to the tournament format for Glory, but this will be your first official title fight for the organization, which will be scheduled for 5 rounds. Does that worry you at all, going 5 rounds there against Simon Marcus?
Dude, it doesn't worry me one bit. I actually think that, every fight, I would be happier if every fight was 5 rounds. I think it takes me a while to get warmed up, and I try to start fast and finish strong, but sometimes I think that 3-minute rounds, 9 minutes of fighting isn't quite enough. And, if we have to go the extra 2 rounds, I'm looking forward to it.
At Glory 27, it was announced that Glory has reached multi-year agreements with ESPN to show the fights on ESPN2 and, of course, stream them on ESPN3 and have the Super Fight Series, the undercard, be exclusively shown on the UFC Fight Pass. And as a Glory fighter, Dustin, how does it feel to have Glory be shown on platforms like the UFC Fight Pass and ESPN?
Yeah, I think it's really cool, man. I think it's great for the sport. I think that Glory, evolving to the UFC Fight Pass and hopefully is going to be live on ESPN2 for this title fight in May, I think will do huge, numbers. I think that fight fans all over the world, if they just catch a glimpse of Glory on ESPN or on UFC Fight Pass, they're going to be hooked instantly. And, that's our job as fighters, to go out there and put on the performance of a lifetime and get people to be excited about Glory and kickboxing, and to get these same people buying tickets and getting them to the shows.
So far in Glory, you've been all over the place, Dustin. You fought in Tokyo, LA, New York, Chicago, Dubai, Vegas. Is there anywhere yet that you haven't fought that you would like to for Glory?
Yeah, man. Actually, I've always said I would love to fight in Australia. For whatever reason, I'd love to go over there and just see that part of the world. And if fighting took me there, it would really be icing on the cake. But that's the coolest thing about what I do as a professional, is being able to travel to all of these cool places and places that I probably would have never been had it not been for fighting. So I'm very thankful for that and what it's done for me and my family.
Jim Graham talking with Glory middleweight contender tournament winner Dustin Jacoby. And Dustin, I want to talk about your gym a little bit, Factory X there in Colorado. It's really come up here the last couple of years with yourself, Chris Camozzi, Brian Rogers, Joe Warren, just to name a few that have come over there to Factory X. And I was wondering, can you just talk a little about the growth and success that you and your gym has had there in Colorado?
Yeah, dude, we've got a great camp, all the way from 115-pound females to heavyweights males. We've got great guys and girls all across the board, and we're led by a wonderful coach, Mark Montoya. And we couldn't do any of this without him. And I also want to throw in there our strength and conditioning coach at Landau Performance, and Lauren Landau and Eric Telly and Nate Schmock. Those guys do an excellent job for us, and not only us, but every top-notch athlete in the area, in the metro area of Denver. No matter what sport you're talking about, you'll see athletes of all caliber in there every single day. And I think that, adding them along with Coach Mark Montoya and Factory X, you put those two together, and it's a deadly combination, and our gym's really reaping the benefits because of those guys.
Now, besides your team there at Factory X, really that whole Denver area has blown up in combat sports, including Elevation Fight Team. You have Dwayne Ludwig and his Muay Thai gym as well. Your gym there at Factory X, Grudge Training Center. Is it crazy that all of a sudden that so many athletes now are flocking to the metro area there in Denver to train combat sports?
Yeah, it's not surprising at all, man. I mean, it's a big area. It's got a lot of different people to choose from, and it's a hot spot. It's where people want to go, and it's cool to see all of the different teams and all of the different, competition. Competition breeds success, and when you have gyms, vying to be the best gym, and you got athletes trying to be the best athletes, it makes for a good atmosphere.
Now, of course, with training there in Denver, high elevation, and with training so much there above sea level, do you really notice a difference when you fight back down at sea level, Dustin?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The Olympic Training Center is in Colorado Springs for a reason, and it makes perfect sense. You're training at higher elevation. Your cardio is going to be better, and everything about it is great.
Now, what are some of the things you like to do when you're not training for a fight?
Dude, I do all sorts of stuff. I play golf. I'm an avid golfer. I go to the mountains often. I snowboard. Anything with the ball, any kind of sport. I'm playing it. And I have wonderful family and friends that I enjoy hanging out with and doing all of that together. So I'm a very active guy. I'm much more than just a fighter. I feel like there's a lot to me that and a lot of tools that I have to use, and I think that also helps me inside the ring.
All right, Dustin, I'll get you out of here with this. Come May 13th there in California, what can fans expect from you against Simon Marcus for the middleweight title?
Come May, they can expect the best athlete that, I've ever been. I work hard. I train with the best at Factory X. My head coach, Mark Montoya, and Lauren Landau and Eric Telly at Landau Performance. And expect fireworks. I look at Simon Marcus and myself, the two type of athletes to put on a show and get glory on a national stage and to get people excited about it. And That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to work hard until I get that belt.
Once again, he is Dustin Jacoby. You can follow him on Twitter at Dustin Jacoby DJ. And Dustin, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I look forward to your fight against Simon Marcus.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. And hopefully when I win that world title, we can do this again.
Absolutely, man. And once again, that was Dustin Jacoby, Glory middleweight top contender right here on Beyond the Cage.